We got
I
this.
don't want to do this.
No, we got this, Max.
No,
You're a champion.
I don't have it.
You're a champion. Stop it.
I don't have it.
Stop it.
Armed deputies, drawn rifles, and a Queen's stronghold encircled once again. This time, however, the trail does not lead to an unidentified caller. It immediately leads to a millionaire tycoon who, according to Nicki, has been planning her downfall. In secret, everything was altered by what Jay-Z supposedly did next. The siege of the Queen's fortress. Imagine this. You're Nicki Minaj globally, you have sold more than 100 million records, every feature you've ever touched has been bodied by you. Chart records that no female rapper was ever expected to break have been broken by you. Additionally, you've accumulated enough bread to buy a $20 million Hidden Hills property. The same gated enclave where the Kardashians live, where privacy is supposedly guaranteed and security is set to be tight. Behind those gates, you're meant to be impenetrable. However, you continue to wake up to flashing red and blue lights, tactical vehicles parked on your well-kept lawn, helicopters circling your roof as if you were the public enemy #1, and drawn weapons aimed at your front door. However, you haven't done anything incorrectly, not once. Nicki thinks she knows exactly who is phoning the police on you, making up reports of child abuse involving your baby boy, phony Chrissies and phantom situations at each and every time. The person making the calls disappears like a ghost, and law enforcement arrives at the Queen of Rap's door, deep and ready. For years now, Nicki Minaj has been living that reality, and she has had enough of it. Learn about the history of this property being targeted before we even start swatting. While Minaj was out of town in February 2017, her house in the 2600 block of Beaumont Drive in Hollywood Hills was broken into. The robbers cut her clothing and knocked up furniture as they left, taking $175,000 worth of jewelry and valuables. Vandalism only for the sake of it, as though the heist wasn't enough. LAPD looked into it. There were never any suspects named since. Nicki wasn't home. She was not in immediate danger. However, it established a precedent, a terrifying one, that her properties were targets, and that the person carrying out the targeting could act anonymously. In 2023, the swatting pattern began to garner national attention. It differed from a burglary in that it poses a threat to not only your belongings but also your safety and the lives of all those living in your home. A fictitious child abuse report alleging that Minaj and her husband Kenneth Petty were abusing their 2-year-old son at their Hidden Hills residence was filed on June 5th, 2023. Consider the reasoning behind that decision. It's child abuse, not a noise complaint or a disruption. The type of accusation that ensures the fastest possible police reaction. The estate was crowded with deputies. Armed officers arrived at a house with a toddler, their firearms ready. They discovered nothing at all. No victim, no crime, no proof, and no indications of anguish. It was a sophisticated and intentional fraud. Minaj went public on social media, demanding answers from local law, police, and employing private investigators to track down the caller. However, it didn't end there, not even close. A day later, there was another call claiming that there was an emergency at the house. Back-to-back, entirely fake hoaxes in one day. Once more, they were all made to get authorities to a mother's house. Then, in August 2023, another swatting call reported an incident at the house, prompting a major police response. Crisis response teams and tactical units descended on the house, as if it were an emergency. No. Criminal activity was discovered. Someone used law enforcement as a weapon against Nicki Minaj's family 3 times in as many months, and the trail turned cold 3 times. Nicki didn't keep quiet about what she thought was going on. She went on record, stating unequivocally that these were no idle jokes.
My home swatted twice with drawn. They magically, no one seemed to find the person.
The word magical is carrying a lot of weight in that sentence. This was not bad luck, according to the Queen. Someone with significant influence is ensuring that the trail goes cold each and every time. She says, furthermore, the time frame shows that the swattings don't occur in a vacuum. They coincide with times when Nicki targets particular industry figures. You must comprehend who Nicki Minaj has been at war with and why, in order to comprehend why police officers are constantly around her home. Sean, Corey Carter, Jay-Z, and his vast enterprise, ROC Nation, are directly impacted by that conflict. The foundation of the beef, which dates back more than 10 years, was formed on times of cooperation that eventually turned into animosity. In the well-known collaboration between Minaj and Jay-Z on Kanye West's 2010 song Monster, Nicki's line wasn't just a standout performance. Everyone on the song, including Jay-Z, was bodied by it. This concerned him more than he ever showed, according to long-standing insider rumors. In 2012, Minaj told Allure magazine that she wanted to overtake Jay-Z as the most famous rapper in order to overthrow him. Everything that followed was made possible by a woman in his genre, having that kind of ambition. However, the true poison begins to flow in the financial betrayal around Tidal. Jay-Z gathered a select group of artists as Tidal's founder in 2015, according to reports. Minaj, Rihanna, Madonna, and J. Cole each promised 3% shares in return for promotion and exclusive material. Minaj was prominently featured at the inaugural ceremony, publicly co-signing the platform while standing side by side with the biggest music stars. She fulfilled her half of the bargain, provided them with unique content, advertised the service, and gave the brand legitimacy in her name. However, Minaj claims that the payment never arrived correctly when Jay-Z sold Tidal to Jack Dorsey's Square in 2021 for $32 million. Not even close. She claims that she was never given the appropriate documentation for her stock holding. Her 3% stock holding should have been worth $9 million based on the sale price. But she was only paid a pitiful $1 million to settle when the deal went through. She didn't simply turn it down. She loudly and publicly went nuclear. Take a moment to process that.
So you're saying that brother billionaire would use a legal loophole to not pay a black woman that upheld her part of the bargain, then threaten her that if she didn't sign a random paper in 24 hours, she would lose out on a measly $1 million because that's what y'all were offering? I'm so glad I said nope. Scare tactics and manipulation to steal what I worked for.
A woman who performed exactly what was requested of her was allegedly shortchanged by a billionaire, one of the wealthiest men in entertainment, who then attempted to coerce her into signing away her rights within a 24-hour period by taking advantage of a legal loophole. It's not business, it's a shakedown. In July 2025, Minaj posted on X, openly demanding between $100 and $200 million. I would be in court, not on X, if I owed someone $200 million. They barbed spread the word on all platforms, yelling Jay-Z owes Nicki Minaj money, and an apology. However, the Tidal money is just a portion of it. According to Minaj, Jay-Z prevented her from releasing the Pink Print solely on Tidal in 2014, which resulted in leaks and a large loss of money. She also asserted that he provided Beyoncé a rhythm that Nicki claimed she had previously documented, which was meant for her 2018 song Thought I Knew You with the WEEKND. But, furthermore, she was accused of being sued out of existence for her collaboration with Nas on the song Casino, which cost her hundreds of thousands of dollars. Minaj suggested that the true reason was Jay-Z's lingering animosity for Nas, which stemmed from their infamous feud in the early 2000s. The swatting connection comes next. Nicki didn't only gripe about it, she made a clear distinction between the individuals she thought were responsible for the harassment at her house and themselves. According to Nicki, the strategy is the same: making up emergencies, fabricating reports, and using the police as a tool to target anyone who disagrees with certain influential people.
Isn't it funny how they kept trying to say Desiree Perez's black son-in-law was abusing her daughter to get him falsely imprisoned? Remember the 3 times my home was swatted, claiming a man in the home had a gun? The
pattern she is describing is precise, thorough, and consistent over several events. Whether or not that can be proven in court is another matter. You must at least inquire about ROC Nation's shadow game when someone claims that the same organization consistently uses the same strategy against various targets. You haven't been paying nearly enough attention. If you believed that the Tidal money was the only part of the story, dollars due and equity taken are only 2 aspects of the real fight. In this industry, it's about control, about who gets to eat and who gets to go hungry. Furthermore, Nicki Minaj claims that a subliminal bar or a diss tune are not the preferred weapon. It's a whole corporate apparatus working in the background. Desiree Perez has been the CEO of ROC Nation, a management and entertainment powerhouse. Since 2019, Perez has been accused by Minaj of sabotaging her career and family by planting paid moles and doing several evils against black people. Think about that. Paid moles? Not behind-the-scenes whisper campaigns. Not passive-aggressive industry cold shoulders. Nicki is claiming that agents from one of the most influential management firms in the entertainment sector actively and financially infiltrated her personal and professional networks. This is more than just a rap feud. This is more than just business. He's talking about something more akin to a clandestine operation. The most prominent flashpoint in this conflict was the Super Bowl. On the grandest stage in American entertainment, the entire culture witnessed the dynamics Nicki had been describing for years. The NFL and ROC Nation collaborate to organize important events, such as the halftime show. It's not a rumor. Jay-Z's business has direct control over who plays at the world's most viewed music event according to a contractual arrangement. Minaj referred to it as disgusting and evil when the 2025 Super Bowl 59 halftime performance featuring Kendrick Lamar in place of Lil Wayne was revealed in 2024 in New Orleans. Wayne's hometown, the city that raised him, and the city where he is almost a living monument, she tweeted. One end they took a knee, the other end they took the bag. She wasn't the only one who thought that Jay-Z was purposefully punishing the whole Young Money family tree because of his personal grudge against her. Birdman, the founder of Cash Money Records and mentor to Lil Wayne, publicly supported her. Nicki further claimed that Jay-Z was purposefully excluding Minaj from important opportunities, accolades, tour dates, and industry gatherings, while aggressively promoting Megan Thee Stallion, AROC Nation, C.I.N.E. According to Nicki, Jay-Z's disregard for her was insufficient. He had to bury the woman who wouldn't bend the knee and replace her in order to lift someone under his cover. It wasn't simply noise Nicki was generating, she was giving detailed information about what she thinks ROC Nation does whenever they are in the news. She claims that there is a comprehensive protocol for distraction. According to the Queen, ROC Nation's entire misdirection system for phases 4 diversions activates like clockwork each and every time it gets hot. Jay-Z himself showing out in public, appearing out of touch, Will Smith appearances, celebrity death announcements, and concerted social media attacks against Nicki.
Anytime Cock Nation is in the news for something they don't want you to know, few things will happen. 1, Will Smith is going to appear. 2, a famous person is announced dead. 3, their allies will begin to post and say nasty things about the Queen. 4, Lace Z will pop up looking dumb.
By industry friend, the fact that she can name a specific numbered operational pattern, and that the Barbs have documented incidents over months of news cycles that seem to fit this precise sequence, shows how deeply ingrained this rabbit hole is in Minaj supporters, and her own convictions. Regardless of whether you believe the conspiracy or not, Nicki is not merely speculating or making unspecific charges. She is providing what she considers to be an observable, repeatable playbook that she has repeatedly witnessed unfold in real life. She is urging everyone to listen and confirm it for themselves. As the feud grew more intense, the swatting at her Hidden Hills house continued. It intensified in tandem with it, if anything, as though they were on a sync's timer. Between April 9th and April 10th, 2025, at 911, call was made regarding the assault and shooting of a black woman who fit Minaj's physical description. 2 individuals, who were supposedly remained on the property, were clothed totally in black. It is worthwhile to pause and consider the specificity of that call. This report wasn't just another shots fired one. The fact that someone used a non-emergency line, characterized Minaj without naming her, and stationed fictitious suspects at the scene to increase the threat level implies a level of expertise beyond that of your average online troll. The mansion was absolutely deserted when Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department deputies arrived. Loaded down, guns drawn, expecting to find an active crime scene. At the time, Nicki was on the East Coast, 3,000 miles away. In almost 2 years, this was the 4th confirmed swatting. Give the figure some time to marinate. 4 times in a 24-month period, someone purposefully picked up the phone, prepared a thorough fake emergency report, and dispatched armed police officers to a mother's house where a little child lives. During these comments, Nicki made it known that there had been several instances of firearms being pulled near her son, weapons loaded and aimed at doors and walls where a youngster is sleeping. Minaj claims that California Governor Gavin Newsom totally disregarded her when she publicly begged for his assistance. Minaj supporters linked Jay-Z's political connections to ROC Nation's criminal justice reform efforts and ties to state authorities, while Minaj blamed political corruption for the lack of response. The annoyance was encapsulated in a fan post. Nicki was targeted by the industry and Democrats. Newsom provided no defense and her house was swatted, which fueled the flames. The family is particularly susceptible to this type of harassment because Minaj's Hidden Hills address is open to the public because of Kenneth Petty's sex offender registry status. Even though swatting events have happened to celebrities like Jennifer Aniston and Lil Wayne, Minaj's frequency and the increasing intensity of the false reports set her apart from other celebrities in Hollywood. Swatting carries a genuine risk of death and costs taxpayers thousands of dollars per incident. If physical harm occurs, California law imposes increasing penalties, including jail time and fines of up to $1,000. In June 2025, Minaj used her own lyrics from the Band From No remix with Lil Wayne and cryptic tweets that alluded to juicy disclosures regarding ROC Nation's strategies. In 2025, she also claimed that ROC Nation needed a $40 million bailout and was utilizing the swattings and other distractions to deflect attention from their financial issues. Additionally, she asserted that Jay-Z personally was among the spies present at her performances during the opening night of her tour. Isolation was depicted by the larger industry dynamics. Minaj was accused of isolating herself from the business by commentators such as Joe Budden and DJ Vlad, who described her outbursts as desperate and crazy. However, Nicki seemed unconcerned with the appearance. She wasn't going to leave quietly, and she was fighting what she perceived to be a system built to silence her. The queen loses it. Early in 2026, Nicki Minaj had transitioned from teasing to releasing full-scale scorched earth rockets that were aimed straight at the core of Jay-Z's reputation. Any self-control she had exhibited in the past, which, to be honest, wasn't much, vanished entirely. The Grammys became into the most recent front in a conflict that was engulfing everything in its path. Following her roasting at the ceremony, Minaj launched a flurry of social media rants against Jay-Z that took the conflict to new heights. Not from Nicki or any other rapper making fun of Jay-Z. She wasn't only accompanied by subliminals and bars. She had what she claimed to be receipts when she arrived. She shared vintage photos of Jay-Z standing with a teenage Beyoncé and Oli, calling him a child predator in all caps, and linking the pictures to more general, inflammatory claims of his previous behavior with young women in the business. The internet exploded. Every post was magnified by barbs. To defend themselves, the Bayhive journalists covering music rushed to verify the facts. Upon concluding the photo analysis, the photographs were shown to be false. Contrary to what Minaj had suggested, the women in the pictures were determined to be between the ages of 20 and 21 at the time the pictures were taken. However, the harm had already been done. Millions of people had viewed, screenshotted, shared, and incorporated the posts into the feud's permanent record. And that's exactly what Nicki wanted. She wanted Jay-Z to be examined by the public with the same rigor that the industry had been using to examine her for years. Additionally, she went straight to the core of the ROC Nation operation. The CEO, Desiree Perez, who has been in charge since 2019, was specifically called out. Nicki also didn't mince words. False incarceration, civil rights abuses, and conspiracy. These aren't petty charges made in a heated Twitter argument. Those are federal-level career-ending and freedom-threatening accusations coming from one of the hip-hop accounts with the most followers worldwide. The CEO of one of the largest entertainment management organizations in the world has engaged in behaviors that violate people's fundamental constitutional rights. And Nicki is publicly announcing this on record for the entire internet to see. The question of whether or not any of this is admissible in a court of law is a significant one. However, the fact that she is stating it repeatedly on record to tens of millions of followers without hesitation or reversal makes it a near and permanent part of the public conversation about Desiree Perez, ROC Nation, and Jay-Z's whole business. Nicki linked it all to the swattings, the fabricated reports, the weapons pulled, and the trend of the American police force being used.
Desiree Perez, you got bigger fish to fry, bookie. Conspiracy, false imprisonment, civil rights violation. Oh, nation, y'all suck.
As a means of harassment against anybody who dared to oppose certain influential people. She said that the swatting of her house wasn't the work of a random internet troll who was bored and enjoying seeing police responses. She claims that the same people, the same system, and the same approach attempted to fabricate abuse claims against Desiree Perez's own family members. The same strategy is used against many targets with the same end goal: intimidation through institutions and control by fear. No matter how many cease and desist letters came to her door, she would not stop repeating it. In her broadside, Nicki also included allegations of Jay-Z's paternity, adding yet more element to an already impossible web of charges. She claimed that Jay-Z had a deep-seated grudge against her because she failed to provide him with the approbation, distinction, and validation that he so desperately needed from all of the top hip-hop artists. Nicki claims that Jay-Z's ego is essentially unable to comprehend a female rapper who established her business without his approval, attained economic success without his cosign, and refused to bow to his influence. Therefore, he worked methodically to minimize her, to erase her accomplishments, and to elevate artists within his own banner as substitutes. Rather than honoring her independence and treating her as an equal who deserved her position, the tension peaked when Minaj declared she was stopping her music releases and accused Jay-Z of fostering an environment that prevented her from working freely in the business. Consider the significance of that assertion. Among the all-time most commercially successful female rappers, it's because of what she says one man in his organization did to her career, her income, and her family's safety. The woman who paved the road for all subsequent female MCs was threatening to quit music completely. Jay-Z has never directly reacted to any of this. Not a bar, not a tweet, not a public statement. His silence has been read in 100 different ways. By those who support Minaj as a sign of guilt, by those who defend him as a tactic, and by those who are impartial as conceit. Both Jay-Z and Beyoncé may file defamation lawsuits, according to sources. However, no lawsuits have emerged as of early 2026, according to reports. Jay-Z's crew has only responded with cease and desist letters and legal documents that Nicki regarded as toilet paper. Separate confrontations were brewing on the legal fronts. Minaj's Hidden Hills property may be sold, according to a court order, because of an outstanding judgment of $53,000. related to Kenneth Pettis' attack on a security guard, Minaj avoided confiscation by making a last-minute payment. Fans instantly conjectured about connections, interpreting every financial and legal pressure on Minaj as proof of a concerted squeeze, even if this had nothing to do with the Jay-Z feud. And that's the reason this story is both so captivating and so perilous. The facts that have been documented are accurate. The swattings took place. There's a real title equity conflict. Lil Wayne's Super Bowl rejection is true. Major outlets have reported Minaj's public accusations against ROC Nation. However, the suspicions of spies and hit squads, the link between Jay-Z and the swatting sieve, and the charges of planned sabotage have not been proven. As of 2026, no lawsuits or resolutions have been reached. What you end up with is a lady who sincerely thinks she is battling for her life against a system that doesn't even recognize her. You must realize that when you read the title, "Police surround Nicki Minaj's house after Jay-Z breaks in." It refers to more than one incident, night, or phone call. It is the result of years and years of financial disputes involving hundreds of millions of dollars. Accusations of career sabotage involving one of the largest management companies on the planet. Repeated swatting attacks that could end a child's life. Personal accusations that could end careers. And an ongoing battle between an empire that, in her words, has been trying to destroy her family, her finances, and her spirit ever since she stopped following their rules. Police officers kept knocking on her house. The charges continue to flow out of her timeline. Jay-Z continues to remain silent, and neither side exhibits any indication that they will compromise, back down, or let this to end amicably. If even half of Nicki Minaj's accusations are true, this is one of the most dangerous systematic abuses of power in the history of modern entertainment. A billionaire using his industry leverage, political connections, and corporate infrastructure to harass, financially ruin, and silence a woman who dared to demand what she was entitled to. This is one of the most spectacular, protracted, and public meltdowns the culture has ever seen, and it's costing her relationships, opportunities, and possibly her legacy if she's mistaken. If the connections she's making are coincidental, and if the swattings have nothing to do with the feud. Joe Budden and other critics view it as self-defeating to the barbs. It represents a warrior queen battling giants by herself. As his empire moves forward, Jay-Z's stillness speaks louder than ever, allowing the clamor to fade into static. The world is watching. Either way, you may be sure that this narrative is far from over because the receipts are accumulating on both sides. Click on any of the cards on your screen if you liked this video.